more exciting part, John. Second half of the program, the four other qualities.
The second half of the program is about to begin. And in order to situate us to where we are and where we are going, let us have a quick review. And at the very start, we said that there are 7 qualities, characteristics, steps towards leadership. The first being, I am going around now. I'm looking at the notes. I am finding one who can share with us the first step. Actually, the step is a question.
Yes.
Anchors you.
What anchors you? Very good. You are? Thank you, Teta. So
And
that is the first one. How about the second one,
I'm
Louie?
going to decide, John. I'm going to decide, and I will ask somebody. I'll put somebody on the spot. What was the second box there? Your name is? Josephine. And Josephine, what's and the man on the moon. Third
Very
one.
good. That is the second. How about the third? Let's see from the back end. I can see another one. Let's see, what is your name? JP.
Get to the heart.
All right, get to the heart. All right, so we have 3 and we are now in store for more. But to make sure that we remember all of these, we look at pictures. Pictures remind us of what has happened. It is the best way to capture memories.
And we'd like to join everyone to stand up, even if you're still having your pastries and coffee. Stand up for our after the break exercise. Everyone,
Stand up, please. We will now take your picture.
Everyone, stand up and go behind your chair. Please push the chair towards the table. Yes,
And by
please
doing
push the
that, you
chair
now
towards
have
the
enough
table.
room to move around.
That means each table with a group of 10 people now has enough room to move around and interact. As I'm showing this piece of art, work of art on my right and on your left, this is a famous painting of Michelangelo which depicts so many characters in action, although in a still image. What if we can portray all of the first 3 qualities, what anchors you, land the man on the moon, and get to the point? What if we can portray that in one picture using our bodies in the table? John, what are they to do?
What they need to do, what all of us need to do from this particular picture that has been shown. In that picture, there are different segments. So what we will rely on is your passion, your energy, and your creativity to show us these 3 principles that Maulikh has shared with you earlier. On Louis' count, when we say freeze, we will take your picture showing not 1, not 2, but the 3 principles all together.
Using our bodies, using our facial expressions, you will create an image of all 3 lessons that we've learned in the first half.
I am landing on the moon.
And I am getting to your heart.
And this is our
actions,
anchor.
different behaviors. Let's see which table will be the one to portray the best picture, the best photo, the best painting of our first 3 lessons. You have 60 seconds to interact with your table mates, form poses, agree on poses. After 60 seconds, we say freeze. We will look at your team picture. 60 seconds starts now.
And
60
our
seconds
official
starts
photographer
now.
is now capturing these wonderful moments.
Music, please. What are you portraying? Come on. 50 seconds. 45 seconds. $40. 30 seconds. How are you going to show what anchors you, land the man on the moon, and get to the heart? $15.
We can see that one group has almost formed. We are not sure that if even their group know what they're doing.
5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Show us your team painting. Freeze! Freeze, everyone! I'm seeing some tables really having their poses.
From this corner, we can see the extension of the State of the Nation address.
For some tables, I don't know what you're trying to portray. Maybe simply standing is already a statement. Come on, John. Let's interview people, John.
All right, let's go around
Let's
and let's
interview
see.
those tables.
Let us see what is happening here. This is, you are hoping for something. You are looking up. You are forming a line because you have the anchors. Okay,
Anchors in the
link
heart.
arms, the heart. All right, and oh my goodness.
Landing the man
All
on the moon.
three, one line. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay.
How creative. Let us see if this can be up
From this
still.
side, John, from this side, only one table
And
here.
you are part of one whole group. One whole group. This would be the anchor, all right? And this would be the flying to the moon and getting to the heart. All right, segmented and yet connected. Very good. Thank you very much. And from this angle, we can see the heart. Yes, the heart, right. And this is the, but where is the third one? The moon. Oh, the moon. The moon. Obviously, the moon. The moon is round. Thank you very much. You really, another moon. Okay. All right.
And
I'm
thank you so
going
much.
to this
Thank
corner.
you. John, do you
All
still have
right.
one group there? You still have one
Wonderful.
group?
Everybody in this area was able to show based on their creativity. They are even saluting the heart, the moon, or the anchor. The
We don't have a
sailors.
representative.
Very good in this part.
Over to
Louis,
the
what
side,
about
over
the
to the
other
side. Do we
segment?
have a
Thank you
group to
very much.
represent
Thank
this
you.
column? Can I see this group, please? Ready? Lights, camera, action! 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 All right. That's it. That's it. Okay. That's it. And what are you trying to show?
Our heart and the ladder going to our...
Okay, the heart's ladder going up to your goal, land the man on the moon, and get to the heart. Thank you so much to this group.
How
Thank you so
about
much.
for this group? This is a group with so many members.
Aha.
So many members. Okay, so let us see which part are you portraying? Getting to the heart, the anchor, and finally, landed on the moon. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you
Not
so much.
climbing
You
up
may
the
now
bamboo
take your
pole.
seats.
Huh?
Get settled.
Alright. Okay.
First three, John. First three done in the past how many hours? Last four of what it takes to get to the top.
Louis, this group is so proud.
Oh.
This group is so proud to show to
Okay.
everybody
Let's give them a chance. Come on.
how they can. Why don't we call them on stage?
Yes.
Yes,
on
please,
stage.
please.
On stage, please.
On stage,
One
please.
team on
On stage,
stage.
please.
Come on. Come on. Let's do it. On stage, everyone.
All right, quickly on stage, they are a mix of individuals from different organizations, and yet they come together to show to show their anchor, to show also the heart,
You're in.
as well as to show.
Come on stage, everyone. A team is insisting to go on stage to present their team picks.
And the moon. All right. Let's give a big hand for this group who has really volunteered for this exercise. And of course, creativity really matters. We have seen how all of the other groups have portrayed what their picture is. This one probably would be very much of the original.
Okay, on my count, show your team picture or painting. 3, 2, and 1.
And of course, the interpretation is
Interpretation.
you put it together and okay, thank you very much.
Thank
A
you
big
so much
hand
for
to the
teams
group.
who participated. First three keys to what it takes to get to the top and to succeed at the top. Done. 4 more in the next high impact and jam-packed hour. Here's Maulikh again for the remainder of the set of secrets of success.
So how many of you know which NBA player is in town today? Who is in town? LeBron James, right? So you are here because either you didn't get the tickets or really want to learn about leadership. I hope it's the second one. But I want to take you guys back 2 months ago. And I'm going to take you guys to the American Airlines Arena in Miami. It's Game 5 between Miami Heat and Indiana Pacers. It's the playoffs. Miami Heat is down by 4 points. It's 40-44. And this is what's happening at the halftime. Look at LeBron James' reaction.
I think we were playing Miami Heat basketball in the first half. What kept us in the game in the first half was our talent, and that's not what we're about. We didn't play with a sense of urgency, and we was only down 4, and that wasn't a good sign, man. So, I just got in them and let them know that we can't just play by talent. We got to go out and we got to play with a sense of urgency, both offensively and defensively, and my guys responded.
So Miami Heat was down by 4 points. They had already lost the 4th game in Indianapolis. LeBron James knew exactly what was at stake. He knew that if they lost this game, Game 5, Pacers would be higher 3-2. And then the next game is going to be in Indianapolis again. It'd be very tough to beat Pacers in their own home court. They have lost both of those games in the past. They knew that if that happens, they're going to lose the playoff. If they lose the playoff, they're never going to get to the championship. And they're going to lose the chance to repeat what they did last year as well. So LeBron had a choice. He had a choice to be a nice guy and let it happen. Let his teammates continue playing the way they were playing, which was not to their full potential. Let them as a team lose and still be a nice guy. Or call out the elephant that was in the arena. And what was the elephant in the arena? The elephant in the arena was his teammates were not playing the game they were supposed to. They were just going through the motion. He knew deep in his heart that his team can play better game than they played in the first half. So he put them to task. And guess what? they end up winning that game. And we know that 20 days later, they obviously won the championship as well. So how does that play out in the business world? What kind of elephants are always walking on the hallways in our offices? What kind of elephants are showing up in the meeting rooms, in the boardrooms, that nobody wants to acknowledge? There are 5 types of elephants I want to talk about here. And I want you guys to think what elephants you can relate to. And this is going to be an important one. This is going to be probably the most difficult trait for you to master, because it takes courage to master this trait. The first elephant we come across at workplace is simply passive aggressiveness. How many of you have been in a scenario where you know your team doesn't get along, or the 2 people in the team, they don't get along? But when they get together, they hug and kiss and pretend like nothing is wrong with them. But behind the scene, they go back to their office and they start scheming to settle the score. How many of you have experienced that? Maybe not in your current job, but in the past. Yeah? How do you solve that? As a leader, if you allow the passive aggressiveness, do you think you can get your team to land the man on the moon? Do you think LeBron James and Dwayne Wade can get away with this passive aggressiveness? Do you think they would have won the championship? No. It is leader's job. It was Eric Spoelstra's job to create an environment where the team members can actually talk tough conversations. As a leader, it is your job. If you see a passive aggressiveness, call it out. Have those 2 people sit down and talk. Let them have heart to heart. It's very difficult to continue scheming, but when you bring those people heart to heart, let them cry it out. And it will be better. They would all feel lighter after that. But it is leader's job to make sure that you don't have any passive aggressiveness going on in your organization, because that is a huge elephant that's walking around. It will eat all your profits. Nothing will come out of your organization. The second elephant we see quite a bit at the workplace is, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. How many of you have experienced that? You go into meetings with your boss and you have an agreement with your coworker. Hey dude, you know, when we go in front of the boss, I won't ask any tough questions to you, or I won't say part of your project is not doing well, and you better do the same thing, you know? Don't say anything about my project as well. Imagine if everybody starts playing this mediocre goal, how would you ever get your team to achieve your goals? So next time as a leader, you see I scratch your back, you scratch mine, you need to call both of those people out and say, I know what's going on here. You have your own agendas, and there cannot be 2 agendas. There could be only one agenda, and that's the company's agenda. And it's leader's job to make sure that the elephant, I scratch your back, you scratch mine, is never walking the hallways in your office. Number 3, elephants sometimes come across as sacred cows. I'm from India, so I'm kind of used to them. But they typically walk in the road, you know, they're not showing up in the office. But this is a metaphor here. You got an elephant metaphor, you got a sacred cow metaphor. What's going on here? A lot of the times you go into these meetings and you're trying to talk about reducing cost. And everybody in the room knows there's this one project that's employing 10 people. It's not doing anything. It's not generating any revenue. It's never going to generate any revenue. It's never going to generate any profit. And yet, it's continuing because it is a pet project for one of the higher ups. So nobody talks about that sacred cow. Nobody talks about this sacred employee who is so close to the boss. It is your role as a leader. You never have a sacred cow in your organization. Make it very clear to your employees. And as a leader, you have to walk your talk. You can't have anybody who is close to you becoming sacred cow. I have many friends at work, but they all know none of them are sacred cow. They're holy, but not sacred. So as a leader, your job is to make sure that nobody is above the law. As soon as that happens, you're creating a culture that's not going to achieve its highest potential. The fourth elephant that shows up at workplace is a bully. How many of you have dealt with a bully at work? I know you got a bully sitting next to you and you're like, oh, I'm not going to call him out here or call her out here. But sometimes we allow the bullies to hijack the agenda of the workplace. They decide where the company is going versus the senior management or the leader. And nobody has the courage to confront the bully. So the bully gets bigger and bolder. I have to tell you from my own experiences, it was the toughest thing I had to do. The first time I had to confront a bully, it was back in the US, probably 10 years ago. What I realized from that experience was the work bullies, or even the school bullies, they are very fragile and they are very vulnerable inside. And it's because of those vulnerabilities and fragility and their insecurities as a person, they are trying to create this tough facade around them. And you just have to crack that facade once, and they will cry. Every single time I have confronted a bully in my work career, they all have cried. And you're like, wow, I was not expecting you to cry. I was afraid I'm going to cry, confronting you. But they break down and they realize that, wow, in this culture, I don't have to be that tough person. You have to create a culture for the bully to be that person with vulnerabilities, with insecurities, that it's safe, it's okay. We all are going on a journey to become a better person. So next time you see a work bully, sit down with them. That's the first thing they don't like. They thrive on our lack of courage to confront them. So next time you see a bully, sit down with them and have a heart-to-heart conversation. And you will see amazing things happening there. And you, as a person, will grow as well. Because it's very tough as a leader to go through that phase. Number 5, the fifth elephant is probably the hardest one. And that is to fire people who are not making a difference in your organization. And I know it's very tough in this culture. But we are talking about being global now. How do you confront an elephant? How do you confront an employee you know is not adding any value in your organization? But nobody has courage to sit down and say, hey, this is not working out. Maybe you have better things to do. The reason why we don't do this is because we think too much about that one person and forget about there is a rest of the team that relies on your judgment as a leader. You know, even having done this so many times, even today, I have a knot in my stomach, and I lose sleep the night before I have to fire somebody. And I told myself that the day I don't have a knot in my stomach, and I don't lose sleep over that decision, I should quit my job because I have lost my humanity. It should hurt you. It should be difficult for you. You should have enough malasakit for that person that, wow, I really don't want to do it, but I don't have a choice. Because you're not only thinking about that one person, you're thinking about 18,000 people in my case, 100 people, 1,000 people, 20,000 people in your case. If you don't take care of that person, are you setting your organization for success going forward? So next time you see an elephant in your organization walking around who should not be there, you have to have that courage to make that happen. And I'm telling you, if you aspire to be the division head, to be the country head, to be the CEO, chairman, you have to master all these 5 elements. So let me hear a couple of quick comments. 5 elephants. Anybody has any examples, stories that you would like to share? I know you just ate a little bit of sugar, so you should have a lot more energy. How many of you experienced an elephant of not being able to fire people? I'll just have some raise of hands. I won't ask any comments here. Just show me. Only 2 people, wow. Then you guys have all the right people on your team. That's great. How many people have experienced a bully at a workplace? In your previous life, obviously. Yeah. How many of you have experienced sacred cows walking around? How about passive aggressiveness? And how about I scratch your back, you scratch mine? And maybe you guys are doing it. Right? So we have to, as a leader, start calling out those elephants. The next topic is, what is your GQ? What is your GQ? Does anybody know what GQ stand for? God quotient. No, no, no. Not yet. One day we'll talk about that. Anybody else? It stands for global quotient. Let me ask you this question. How many of you have been to another country on an expat assignment for more than 6 months? I know all the expats are like, oh, I'm here. But how about the Filipinos? How many Filipinos have been to other countries as an expat? Yep, for more than 6 months? Quite a few of you, actually. How many of you have people in your offices here in the Philippines coming from other cultures? Almost all of you. How many of you, on a daily basis, are talking to people, communicating with people, dealing with people from around the world? How many of you have employees, clients, suppliers that you're dealing with on a regular basis from around the world? Think about it, guys. If I were to do this seminar 30 years ago, I would only have 6 traits, because we were all living in our countries without having to worry about dealing with people from other cultures. But things have changed now. On a daily basis, we are dealing with people who are coming from all over the world. So how do you go about increasing your GQ? I know that, IQ, there's only a limit to how much you can increase, right? But how about increasing your GQ? Do you think we can increase our GQ? Yeah. So what are the 3 things you can do to increase your GQ? Because now it is not okay to just be the best Filipino executive, or to be the best Indian executive, or to be the best American executive. We have to strive to be the best global executive, no matter where we are coming from, as part of our culture. So I'll share with you 3 things I believe, which are very important for improving your global quotient. Number 1, go beyond the visible. Go beyond what you see. When you are coming across a culture, it's almost like you are about to encounter an iceberg. What happens when you are going on a ship and you see an iceberg? You see the tip of the iceberg, and you tell yourself, oh, I have seen the iceberg. I know how to navigate through this iceberg now. Minutes later, you hit that iceberg, not because what you saw sunk you, it is what you didn't see that sunk you, right? So culture is like that. When you come across a new culture, you observe what? How do people dress? What do they eat? What do they buy? What movies they watch? What music they listen to? You know, when I see expats coming to the Philippines, it's amazing to see how they fall on their face, because a lot of these Americans or sometimes Europeans come here, and I've seen over the last 7 years, some people falling on their face because they come to the Philippines, they see Filipinos talking in English. They see Filipinos watching the same movies. They see Filipinos listening to the same music. They see Filipinos wearing the same brands. They go to the malls and they see the same brands, Zara, Banana Republic, wow. And they tell themselves, I know these people. I don't need to change anything to deal with them. So they see the tip of the iceberg, whatever they see. But they don't realize under the water, there are these cultural beliefs that can sink them. What are those? The concept of hiya, concept of amor propio, pakikisama, bayanihan. If people don't understand those concepts thoroughly and deeply, what will happen? One day they will go into a meeting, there are a bunch of Filipinos, and they start shouting at one of the Filipinos. What happens? Concept of hiya comes into play. But they didn't know that. Next thing you know, that Filipino gets to the number one elephant, passive aggressiveness, and make sure that this expat never succeeds in the Philippines. And I'm telling you guys, I have seen so many people, so many expats coming here and falling on their face, and then having to go back to their countries because it didn't work out. But I've also seen so many other expats, when they approached the Philippines, they put on their scuba gears, they took a deep dive into the water, looked around that iceberg and say, I need to understand the Philippines. I need to understand what the culture is. I want to know what this concept of hiya is. I want to know what amor proprio means to a Filipino. How do I ensure I don't offend any of my hosts here? And those people are very successful, and they are doing a great job. So number one, I said, go beyond the visible. When you're dealing with cultures, don't just look at the face value. Really get to the deep part of that culture. Understand what beliefs are driving that culture forward. Number two, tone your cross-cultural muscles. How many of you go to the gym every day? Gold's Gym, Fitness First. I know more than you, but everybody's a little shy. Right? We have few people going there. We also have to go to the gym for the cross-cultural communication. You cannot learn cross-cultural communication by just sitting here. I always tell people, take an opportunity to go to an assignment. Tell your boss today, hey, does our company have an opportunity for me to have 6 months in Singapore, India, whatever, US? And take that advantage, because only when you go to these opportunities, you will succeed. I'll share with you one great example. Let me ask you a question here. How many, these are not my Indian brides, by the way. So, how many Indian women you see here? All right. We got 4, 5, 6. Folks, there are 2 Filipinas there. These are 2 SPI Global employees we sent for 6 months assignment in India. And these people are having time of their life. They are fully integrated. They are dressing like Indians. They're getting to know people like Indians. They are being invited by Indian people to go and have meals together at their places. I had a dinner with these 2 ladies that we sent there recently when I was in India. And for 2 hours, they cannot stop talking about how amazing this experience is. And I asked them, like, so what do you miss about the Philippines? And obviously they said bagong, yeah, is that right? They cannot find any right bagong in India. But I'm telling you, ask your bosses. Is there an opportunity for you to go and have an overseas assignment? If you cannot do an overseas assignment, next time you are planning to go to Boracay, go instead to one of the countries around the Philippines. Go to Cambodia, go to Myanmar, go to Malaysia, go to Indonesia. You're so fortunate to be in a country where within 3 hours, 4 hours, you could be in a country which is so different from your culture. They may look alike, but they are a different culture. Take that opportunity to go to the countries where you can learn a little bit about those cultures. And when you go there, don't just do the touristic stuff. Don't go to Cambodia and say, hey, I saw Angkor Wat. Go to those unbeaten paths, roads less traveled. Get to know the local people and really understand what this culture is about. If you cannot do either of those, for whatever reason, go to National Bookstore. Or Amazon. There are incredible books available for you to be a good global executive, and there are two of them I would like to share with you guys. One is, for any business person who has to deal with other cultures, you gotta read these books. One is Do's and Don'ts of Doing Business, and then in whatever country. So if you're dealing with Americans, Do's and Don'ts of Doing Business with Americans. Do's and don'ts of doing business with Indians, whatever it is. And there is a second series of the books that I would like to recommend to you guys, and that's Culture Shock. There is a Culture Shock Philippines, there is a Culture Shock India, there is a Culture Shock US, Europe, or the different countries in Europe, etc. So figure out. You don't have to be traveling around the world, but by sitting here in the Philippines, you can actually continue to be a better global executive. I'll share with you my own personal example. You know, coming back to my dishwashing story, I ultimately did not finish the degree because just when I was about to graduate, I realized I know I was a lousy dishwasher, but I knew I would be even a lousier programmer. And I had to do something else. So instead of finishing the degree, I joined this non-profit organization called Up With People. And it was an organization that brought young people from around the world together. And these people would travel to 90 to 100 different communities in a year, living with host families, doing a community service project in each community, and putting on a 2-hour musical performance. I was the only Indian in that group. We had 150 people from around the world. I was the only Indian. Everybody else was American, North American, Latin American, European. And all the host families I stayed with, they were all non-Indians. For a year, it was an intense intercultural boot camp for me. And I can tell you that after that experience, nothing phases me in terms of dealing with different cultures. But you have to go through that intense experience. Even if you cannot just leave your job and join up with people now, create your own little segments of travel that you can learn from. Okay? So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Louis and Johnny. They're going to do a quick activity to continue to drive this point home. How do we become a global executive? Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maulikh. And let's now scratch the surface and see our global savvy in doing business with the world.
And you have questions for me, John?
Yes, I have questions for you, Louis. And altogether, all that we need to do is whether we agree or disagree, true or false. The first question is, it is now flashed on screen. In India, okay,
Meetings.
yes, meetings
Will generally begin
small talk.
with a friendly small talk. And this is my lifeline.
Correct,
These are
correct.
John's questions. I will answer based on what you tell me. How many say it's true? True. True. True.
True?
True. True.
Right.
True. How many say it's false? False.
Small talk, small
Raju, what's
talk.
your answer? The first person to... Yes.
It's
True?
true.
I'll go
And
for
the
true.
answer is?
True.
The answer is, it is true. And the explanation is that in India, family is very important, especially personal relationships. It is a way of breaking the ice. How is Avery?
She's doing well. Thank
How
you for
is
asking.
Macintosh?
Baby Macintosh is growing up just fine.
You even named your child after a computer brand? After
Of course, the product that made the difference.
Alright. Alright, so that is the first question. Our second question from India, we are now moving to Vietnam.
Vietnam.
So using
Help
a
me
loud
out
voice
here.
is appropriate.
Help
I
me
can
out
see disagreement.
here.
How many
Vietnam
say
loud
that it is
voice.
false?
True or false?
True or false?
I'm hearing false. I'll go for false, John.
You
False.
will go for false, and the answer is
Correct.
because in Vietnam, in fact, using a loud voice or repetitive gestures will make the Vietnamese feel uncomfortable. It is perceived as rude. A line from Miss Saigon.
Yes.
Number three.
And we do stick to the script.
Okay. Number three. So far we have seen that, sir, you still have two correct answers. Let's
America.
see if you will be able to get this
Uh-huh.
right. Americans, they are known to operate according to schedules. One thing at a time. Yes? True?
True.
False?
People say true.
False?
True.
The answer is...
I'll go for true.
Okay. And the answer is true because if you live in the United States, Canada, or other parts of Northern America, you are part of a culture which is known to be monochronic. Daily tasks, schedules, and all. So are you mono or poly?
I am both.
Camus?
I'm both. Depending on the day, depending on my mood.
Okay. Chronic, monochronic.
Monochronic. Yes,
And
monochronic
polychronic.
and polychronic.
At least we have defined that right. We are now moving to the fourth question.
Germany.
Still perfect? Number
Germans.
4, okay.
Germans.
Number 5, in Germany. You are not expected to be on time for appointments nor
Germans.
dinner.
Germans.
Mr.
True or
President.
false?
False.
Oh.
False brands in Germany, Mercedes-Benz.
Yes.
What
and,
other brands?
German, BMW.
Lufthansa, yes.
And,
All right.
Volkswagen.
Correct. Known to be very efficient. So the answer is, it is
False.
false. And the reason being is that being late is perceived as a form of inefficiency or a mark of being disinterested.
I once had a German observer in my training class. He'd be there 5 minutes before 8 o'clock, and he'd be standing, he'd be looking at the clock 60 seconds before 8 o'clock. Promise.
Okay, that's good. That's why we need to have a session to
Correct.
All right. So now we are moving to the next item.
Uh-huh.
We are now going to the
Philippines.
Philippines. Let's get to know more about the Filipinos. I beg to disagree. It is said here that it
In
is
general, John, Filipinos in general.
It is very easy for us to say no.
Yes.
Okay. What is the answer? Really?
True or false? True or false?
Really? True or false?
False.
False. And the answer is?
The answer is false.
The answer is false. We live in a colorful world. And the reason being why this is false is that we tend to expect ambiguous, not exact an answer when confronted. Not to not to tell the truth, but simply to avoid confrontation.
Remember euphemisms,
Correct.
right?
Are you
Ask
going?
me a question, ask me a question.
Are you going to the after session?
You know, I
dinner
really
engagement
want
later?
to go.
You really
I
want
will
to?
see. I'll check my schedule. I'll get back to you later.
Ask
I'll
me, ask me,
try.
ask me, ask me.
How about you?
How about me? Then I will do what is in our best interest. Alright? Okay.
Very Filipino.
Alright, so we are now
Well
moving
said.
on still about the Philippines. We have another question about Filipinos. Filipinos, during the first meeting, should be addressed by their name and title. Yes?
Yes or no?
Yes?
True or
Yes
false?
no? Yes or no?
True.
True,
False is
and
true.
the answer is, it is true. Good afternoon, Mr. Banta.
Same to you, Dr. Gonzales.
Thank you. And the next one from the Philippines. We are now moving to another country,
China.
Chinese-owned organizations. Now we say that China now is becoming really a global economy. And as much as we attend business forums, it is always encouraged that if we had the time, we would be able to learn how to speak Mandarin Hokkien. Okay? And Chinese-owned organizations are strongly influenced by the past. Have you taken this quiz
History.
before?
History. True or
Okay.
false? True or
The-
false?
True or false? The answer is, it is true. And the reason being, why is it true is that Chinese-owned organizations are very particular about traditions and the past. Because it is only through these methods that businesses can be proven worthy,
And
an ally, and loyalty. Right. So, we are now almost done. The next question is about our friends from Britain, from the United Kingdom. When entering a room, what is important? It is said here that should we allow those of higher rank first to enter the room.
Help me out here. True or false? True or false? Person with higher rank goes first. True or false?
True?
Okay.
It is a formal meeting.
True.
Okay. So it is a formal meeting. That is true. And the answer is, it is indeed true. The reason being is that rank is very important and a sign of respect in the United Kingdom. Okay? So finally, we have
One last.
a few more questions. Singapore.
Uh-huh.
Gift giving in Singapore. Singapore is that they are more prevalent to giving expensive gifts, no? No?
Expensive gifts
Yes,
is the
yes,
item.
yes, yes.
What do you think? What do you think? True or false? Expensive
True or
gifts
false?
in
True
Singapore?
or false?
In business
That is
situations?
false.
Ah,
How about
somewhere
the
natin?
others? I'm looking for my pencil to give it to you. I cannot
Yes.
find it. I
Yes.
will give you my bow tie.
Thank you so much for a very modest gift.
A modest
This is very
gift.
welcome.
Okay. All right, because the answer here is that it is false.
False.
Expensive gifts will give a tinge of corruption.
Corruption. Or bribery.
Or bribery. And finally, this is now the last question. About the French. French cuisine. Now let's talk about French
Maybe we have
humor.
French people in
Is
the
it true that French do not tell or like jokes?
True or false? What do you think? True or false?
True or false? Is there such a culture
They
that
do not
does
like
not
telling
want
jokes.
to tell jokes or hear jokes?
Yes. True or false? True or false? And Raju's really well traveled.
Yes.
Has okay, okay. We can edit that one.
According to Wikipedia,
I'd say true, John. I'd say true. I'd say
True?
true.
True?
Yes, I'd say true.
the answer
Is
is balls. Yes, it is true.
True.
Okay.
It's true.
Answer is true. All right. And the reason being is they prefer intelligent and
Witty.
satirical wit. Especially when the jokes are about themselves.
And if it's coming really from practical life experience, they appreciate that.
Correct. Okay, I will remember my bow tie is still with you.
And you gave it as a gift. Thank you so much. Increase your global quotient. Here are the last two qualities. Again, Maulikh Parekh.
Thank you very much.
So we're down to the last two traits for an effective leader. The next one is a view from the captain's deck. But before I talk about it, I want you guys to take just a couple of minutes, very quickly, look at your last week's schedule and find out how many meetings you attended last week that were about the past. So create a column for the past, for the present, for the near future, up to 6 months, and then for the future, 6 months and beyond. So just quickly go through it. I know some of you are probably covering 40 meetings a week, so it may take more than 2 minutes, but just very briefly, instead of checking your emails and SMS and Facebook, just go through that very quickly and come up with 4 categories of your meetings that you attended last week. Again, the meetings in the past, meetings were about the past, about the present issues covering between now and 6 months, and then anything beyond 6 months. So we'll get to it in a few minutes here. Let me do a quick maritime quiz with you guys. And SPI Global employees cannot participate. They have heard it twice and they have flunked both times. So I'm not going to give them a third chance anymore. The questions I'm going to ask you are going to start with very easy and they are going to get difficult, okay? So how many of you have heard of, to start with a very easy question, how many of you have heard of Titanic? Okay, almost all of you. Very good. What happened to it? It sunk? How did it sink? What's that? You've seen the movie, right? It hit the iceberg. All easy questions. Let me ask you a difficult one. How long from the time the captain and the crew spotted the iceberg to the moment Titanic hit the iceberg? Yeah, I know you were at the CEO forum, I remember. Madaya. Cheater. You are getting there, right? Yes. 37 seconds. It was 37 seconds. It seemed longer in the movie because they had to get this Mahal Kita thing between Jack Rose and, all the singing and dancing has to be finished. So it seemed a little longer in the movie. But in reality, it was only 37 seconds. And here's the story of Titanic. On April 11th, Titanic on its maiden voyage, and this is the unsinkable ship of its era, leaves Ireland to get to New York City. And the first 3 days, the weather is nice, the sailing is smooth, absolutely no issues whatsoever. The Jack and the Rose, they're starting their love affair, they're doing the singing and dancing. But on April 14th, something changes. As they are approaching this spot called the Corner, which is in the southeast of Newfoundland, Canada, they start getting these warning signs from the ships in the region that, hey, we have spotted some icebergs, be careful. The other warning sign was the air is getting chillier. And when the air is getting chillier, you know there is some ice in the water, and if there is ice in the water, there is a chance that there may be the iceberg to be on the water as well. But the captain and crew ignore these warnings. Captain goes to sleep at 9 p.m. Titanic hits the iceberg at 11:40 p.m. And within 3 hours, the unsinkable ship of its era completely sinks, taking with it 1,500 people. What is the lesson for leaders in business here? As leaders, we are the captains of our ship, and our primary goal is to look out for the potential dangers lurking in the horizon and make sure that you navigate your team through those dangers without impacting them. You know, we live in the world where we glorify leaders who are the crisis managers, right? Sometimes we have a client we are about to lose and some hero comes along, saves the client, but nobody's asking, how did we allow this client to get to a point where they're about to leave us? Were there any early warning signs? Did we do anything about it? Diba? I know, yeah. I'm seeing whether you guys are alive with me. There are so many examples in the business world that we can apply this theory. You know, attrition, as I said earlier, was a big issue. And sometimes people would come to you as a leader and say, you know, suddenly our attrition has gone up. How is it possible? Before attrition happens, there are early warning signs that people are not happy. What have you done about looking at, listening to, feeling those early warning signs? What are some of the other potential dangers that are lurking in your horizon as a leader? So I want you guys to take a couple of minutes here and write down, what are the icebergs in your job that can sink you if you don't identify them way in advance? Think about changes happening in your competitive industry. Maybe your competition is about to introduce a disruptive technology that can completely make your organization irrelevant. Think about what happened to Kodak. Right? How many of you have Kodak camera now? How many of you use iPhone for your camera? A lot more. Somebody who was running Kodak, their board, completely missed the iceberg. They were all focused on doing things better, what they have been doing for the last 120 years. But they forgot that the world is changing. There is a disruptive technology that is about to get introduced. Whose job is it? It's not the job of 100,000 other Kodak employees. It's the job of the CEO and the board to ensure that Kodak doesn't become irrelevant, right? What happened to BlackBerry? How many of you are using BlackBerry now? Okay. If I asked that question probably 5 years ago, I know for a fact that every hand would have gone up. What has happened to BlackBerry stock? It's close to $11. What happened to Apple stock? It went up to 700, it's still at 450. Apple is in the same scenario where BlackBerry is. If it doesn't get its act together, it is also vulnerable for being irrelevant. With the likes of Samsung and others, they can completely make Apple irrelevant in this organization, in this world that we live in. So think about what are some of the icebergs you are seeing in your business, and how are you leading your team so that you avoid them. Okay? The last one is the most important one, I think. The last trait every leader has who has achieved any greatness is actually, they're having a lot more fun than us. We should probably start on some music as well. The last one is what Stephen Covey would call sharpening the saw. It's the 7th habit in Stephen Covey's bestseller, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm calling it invest in PSEI. What does PSEI stand for? PSEI. How many of you think it's Philippine Stock Exchange Index? I know, everybody's like, should I say it? Yep. I think it's good. You're thinking out of the box. You're getting there. You're warm. You're not still there yet. It is personal self-enhancement index. Show me a great leader, and I'll show you a person who is committed to being better every single day. A lot of the time what happens in our life is we come across these great leaders when they have already achieved greatness. They have been to the top of their game. So we don't understand the amount of struggle, amount of honing, amount of sharpening that they had to do along their life. Think about LeBron James. When you think about LeBron James, what do you think of? You think of King James, right? You think of 2 times NBA champion. You think of 2 times NBA Finals MVP. You think of NBA Rookie of the Year when he joined NBA. But how many of you know that LeBron James comes from inner city of Akron, Ohio? He was born to a single mother who was 16 when she gave birth to LeBron James. His father was an ex-convict and left both the mother and the child because he didn't want anything to do with raising a child. When he was going through his childhood, a lot of the other kids of his age got into gangs, violence, drugs. Some of them lost their lives. I want to show you a brief video where LeBron James is talking about his childhood, and then we'll talk about how he got to where he is. Do we have the video? Sorry, the audio.
we were. Being with my mother, only thing that matters.
I believe we became even closer than the normal.
You guys want to see it again?
child.
I think it's worth. It's really a beautiful video. So why don't we start from the beginning? Yeah. Can we restart the video?
She was 16 when she had me. Father figure that I was looking for, wasn't ever there. Never.
Your mom raised you pretty much by herself. Was a teenage mother, unmarried. First of all, do you know your biological father's whereabouts?
No, not really. But, I'm not really concentrating on that because I really have my father and my mother all tied into one. And I was Lord James. At this point, I don't really need nobody else. The only thing that didn't help cause me kept growing every so often. And she had to keep throwing clothes away and go buy new ones. That didn't help.
I just want clothes bigger, easily. And you just roll them up, throw some cups in them. Give you time to grow into them.
It was constantly on the move for us from 5 years old to 8. We probably moved 10, 12 times. 4 or 5 schools.
We didn't have any definite place to reside at. We didn't know if we was gonna have to sleep the following night.
The hardest thing for me was to meet new friends, going to new schools all the time, and finally get comfortable with a group of friends every once in a while, and then having to leave.
He didn't have a normal childhood. I mean, he lived in some of the worst projects in town.
You definitely see things at a young age that you don't ever want your kids to see. Violence and drug abuse, police sirens. It didn't matter where we were. Being with my mother, only thing that mattered.
I believe we became even closer than the normal parent-child relationship due to our circumstances and enduring them together, going through them together.
I never complained. Never. We're already going through tough times. It doesn't make it any better if I'm complaining. Mother said it was time to go. Packed my little book bag and it was time to roll. I remember my mother sent me down and basically telling me because of certain situations that she may be gone for a little while, that I was going to be living with one of my coaches. It was a challenge. That's all I cared about when I was growing up. If I was going to be able to wake up and my mother was still alive or still by my side. That was because I was already without a father, and I didn't want to be without both of my parents, so it was definitely scary, tough. The thing that I had on the court that I didn't have off the court was security, because every day we went to the gym, I knew I'm going to get picked, or we're going to win basketball games, or we're going to win pickup games. I've always said it's home away from home for me.
Anybody that's close to LeBron knows that basketball court becomes a sanctuary. He blocks everything out, every bad situation or whatever. When he's on that court, that's when he's actually at peace and ease.
Gradually, my mother found a place. I had a place to sleep, and I knew we weren't going anywhere.
I hold you.
So this is where I end up moving to. I'm moving to this room, and if you can just imagine just photos of all the NBA superstars all over these walls. This whole wall was Michael Jordan pictures. From like right here was all Allen Iverson was right here. This was Kobe Bryant's wall right here, like right here. And then everybody else I kind of just filled in. It's crazy to see that they got everything out of here. I put staples all in the walls, duct tape all over the walls. So it's kind of funny to see that it's all gone now.
How many of you think it was a walk in the park for LeBron James to get to where he is today? Think about MVP for a second. He's a mentor to me. We know MVP when he's already a chairman of one of the largest empires in Asia. He's running an organization worth $42 billion of assets. We know him when he's already at the top of his game. How many of you know, though, that even he came from humble beginnings? I know he mentioned to one of the reporters that when he was going to San Beda College, his family would give him 25 centavos every day. He would buy Coke and crackers when he sees these rich kids eating chocolates and burgers, and he said, you know, that was enough motivation for him to do something with his life. He wanted to eat some chocolates and burgers. When he went to Ateneo, his allowance increased to 10 pesos a week, but that included the jeepneys. When he finished Ateneo, he wanted to get to the US, but his family didn't have enough money. So he figured out another way. He participated in a national competition sponsored by Procter & Gamble. He won it, which paid for 100% of his MBA at Wharton MBA school, which is one of the best MBA schools in the world. When you talk to him about his First Pacific experience, he would tell you that in the beginning it was difficult. He had struggles. He almost gave up. But he learned from his mistakes and got better, and now is leading one of the most reputable, most profitable holding companies here in Asia. Do you think MVP had it easy? So how do these people like LeBron James and MVP and others go from these humble beginnings and get to the top of their game? I believe there are three things they do better than the other mediocre performers. Number one, they all know their calling. Very quickly, early on in their life, they know what this life is about. What do they want to do with their life? You know, Jim Collins, in the book Good to Great, talks about hedgehog principle. How many of you have heard of hedgehog principle? Yeah? Just think about three circles that are intersecting, okay? What are you passionate about? What are you good at, or what are you genetically encoded to do? And number three, where can you create the most value? But you have to be yes for all three circles. You cannot say, well, I'm passionate about golf, so that's what I should do with my life. But if you're not good at it, and if nobody's going to pay you for that, it doesn't work out. You cannot also say, well, I'm passionate about napping, umi idlip. I'm good at it, but I can't create any value, right? You have to be good in all three circles. So think about LeBron James for a second. Do you think he's passionate about basketball? Yeah? Do you think he's good at basketball? Do you think he's creating value for himself and others? MVP. Do you think he's passionate about investing, buying companies and turning them around? Yeah? Do you think he's good at it? And do you think he's creating value? So ask yourself, where is your intersection of those three circles? What are you passionate about in your life? What are you good at in your life? And where can you create the most value for yourself and the people around you? Okay? Number two, these leaders live in absolute world, not the relative world. They live in the absolute world, not the relative world. What I mean by that is, these great leaders figure out the song they need to sing, and they sing it the best way they can. They don't worry about which song somebody else is singing. You know, we live in the world where we are asked to compete with people from day one. You know, we go to kindergarten and we are competing with our fellow students. We go to grade school and we are constantly competing. We get out of grade school, we go to college, and we are constantly competing with others. We are comparing ourselves with others. We get a job, and now we are comparing ourselves with others as to why that person gets a promotion and not me. These world leaders, these great leaders that I'm talking about, they completely remove themselves from this rat race. They don't care what others are doing. They know what their calling is. They know what their song is. And they want to sing that song to the best of their ability. LeBron James looks up to Michael Jordan, looks up to Kobe Bryant, looks up to Allen Iverson, but he's not trying to be better than any of them. He wants to be the best LeBron James that he can be. MVP, very competitive. One day I called him at 10:30 at night, and he said, hey, you are actually calling me while I'm doing something. I said, sir, what are you doing? And he said, I'm playing badminton at 10:30 at night. And I said, who are you playing with? He plays badminton with national champions. He doesn't play badminton with anybody. He plays badminton with the national Filipino champions. Not because he wants to be better than those champions, but because he wants to be better than he was yesterday. So how do you, in your life, go from comparing yourself to other people all day long, seeing if they have a better car, your neighbor, or your colleague at work has a better purse or a better title? Figure out what is that song in you that you have to sing the best way possible. And the last thing these leaders do, they all have great mentors. I cannot emphasize enough the roles of mentors in our lives. You know, Mahatma Gandhi, ironically, had a mentor from UK, John Ruskin. He changed his life. And then Mahatma Gandhi became the mentors to the likes of Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King then became the mentors for so many other leaders in the world. LeBron James talked about filling up that room with pictures of Michael Jordan, pictures of Kobe Bryant, pictures of Allen Iverson. MVP, when somebody asked me, who is your idol, who is your hero? He said, Alexander the Great, the king of Macedonia who built probably the biggest empire in the world. Ask yourself, who are your mentors in life? And you don't need to know them. Most of my mentors, I don't know them. But I just tell myself, I like that person. I like that quality in that person. Whether that person knows me or not, doesn't matter. Most of my mentors are dead. Not after they became my mentors, by the way. Nobody want to be my mentor. It's like, oh, I don't know whether, man, I want to live long, man. I don't want to be your mentor. But Gandhi, Churchill, Lincoln, JFK, so many people you can learn from. And beautiful things happen when you tell somebody, when you tell your mind that I want that person to be my mentor, something amazing happens. You know, your subconscious mind takes over. And without you knowing, you start emulating that person. You start thinking about that person. You start talking about that person. Your life starts changing as if you are that person. So ask yourself, as you look around in your life today, who are your mentors? Who are your role models? Who are the heroes that you look up to? So I want to close this session with this 20-second clip, and I hope the audio works. I know the audio in the next room works. Next time, I think, Richard, we should have our meeting in the next room. But this is a TV interview of LeBron James right after they won the championship against the San Antonio Spurs. The reporter asked a very important question, and what LeBron James says is very profound. I hope you guys can hear it.
Listen, for me, I can't worry about what everybody say about me. I'm LeBron James from Akron, Ohio, from the inner city. I'm not even supposed to be here.
I'll tell you what LeBron James said. It was a very short sentence. The lady asked, what do you tell to your detractors, people who have been disparaging you, who have been throwing stones at you? What do you say to them? And LeBron James said, I can't worry about what others say about me. I am LeBron James. I am from Akron, Ohio, from inner city, and I was not even supposed to be here. I'm LeBron James. I am from Akron, Ohio, from inner city, and I'm not even supposed to be here, but he got there. MVP, from his humble beginnings, wasn't supposed to be where he is, but he got there. Where are you not supposed to be? And when are you going to get there? Thank you.
And to facilitate our question and answer portion, we have Richard Mills, our organizer. Richard Mills of Asia CEO Forum.
Wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. Another hand. And can you believe it? Maulikh is single. So maybe afterwards we can form a line here for any applicants for that open position. Just kidding, of course, that's a bad one. Okay, question and answer. We'll have a bit of time here for that. Maybe my first question, maybe if I could ask our speaker to come on up again, and we'll just have a few questions. The one I had is, now Maulikh, one of his concepts was the global quotient, and Maulikh lives that, of course, traveling around the world, dealing with people of many different countries and so forth. But what would you feel? Now, this is a difficult question, and I hope it helps people. But comparing Filipinos, I mean, we've all been, impressed by the tremendous ability of Filipinos and industries like the industry Maulikh made his name in, the business process outsourcing, where Filipinos, started from zero 10 years ago, and now they are considered the leaders, one of the leaders, or if not the leaders in some of the key areas for this. So tremendous ability. What do you think are some of the main strengths Filipinos have, and some of the areas where, like everyone, there's some room for improvement? What would you say? I know it's a big question, but whatever you can say.
No, that's a great question, actually, and I think we covered that in the Asia CEO Forum as well. Many strengths in the Philippines. I think one of the reasons I made this country my home for the last 7 years is because I know I can learn so much from the Filipinos, from this country. I share an example when I talk to people about what I've learned from the Filipinos, and MVP being my mentor, I'll share with you a particular incident that happened. I used to work for Americans in the past, and they used to give me feedback in paragraphs, verbose. When you ask them about something in a boardroom, they'll talk a lot and lot. MVP, my first board meeting with him 3.5 years ago, we went through the whole board meeting, and then becomes silence. And everybody looks at MVP because now he's going to say something, and every word he says means something. And he would just simply say, good, and then goes. And I'm like, wow. People told me, Maulikh, if he says good, run with it, celebrate. If he says okay, run with it, celebrate. It is when he starts asking these very gentle questions that we saw from Louis and Johnny. Instead of saying, oh my God, what happened to your cells? It's going down, and you should have done a better job. You're sleeping at the wheel, blah, blah, blah. I'm used to that, working for the Americans in the past. The Filipino MVP would say, it seems like maybe cells are weak. That's it. So I think what I've learned from this country is you don't have to talk a lot. Now, I know I'm saying this after talking for 4 hours here, but I'm from India, what can I say? But you don't have to talk a lot to get your point across. The other thing I've learned is you can have a lot of fun working towards a common goal. The work doesn't have to become so difficult. I believe Filipinos have more fun in the Philippines than Indians having more fun in India, or other countries having more fun in India. So there are so many things I can obviously go on and on about talking about it. What can they improve on? I think the two traits I specifically spent a lot of time thinking about and writing were the elephants. Keep the elephants in the wild. Make sure that you guys really take that trait to the heart, because that would help you become truly a global executive. And then obviously some of the things that we covered in the global function.
Okay, good. I'll ask one more question. Please, somebody think of a question. Oh, okay, Mike.
Always count on Mike. I know what you asked me last time.
No, well, this time you used a lot of sporting analogies, but the thing that's always got me tossed about coaching teams, how do you get them all to do it at the same time? In other words, if you're going down, how can you turn it around to lift them all up together?
It's a beautiful question, actually. I always tell people that a leader is not actually playing any instrument in the symphony orchestra. Think about a symphony orchestra. As a leader, you're not one of the musicians. You are the conductor. So if you get busy playing an instrument, then you won't have time to really take everybody to the same goal. But if you spend time being a conductor, your job then is to make sure that everybody's playing the music from the same sheet of music and playing at the same tempo. So spending more time being a conductor versus playing a musical instrument is the key to that.
Okay, very good. Please.
Hello. My name is Noel Guevara. I was born in Bicol, and I'm not supposed to be here.
Give him a hand.
Thank you. It's also not because of Richard. He's a very good guy. I know him for quite some time. And it's also not because of some colleagues that I've known in the industry. I'm here because, believe it or not, folks, it's because of my wife. I was wondering, I need to understand why my wife, who used to work for Maulikh, was so starstruck when she was employed. And the moment I came in and I saw his face, I saw the reason. First reason, I said,
I'll buy you dinner.
This guy just came out from Bollywood, you know? So if I have to ask the ladies, the guys, is Maulikh, attractive? Yes or no?
Oh, please.
So my wife is not alone. And the moment I heard Maulikh's voice, I said, oh my God, what kind of, if you ask, you asked a question a while ago, what would keep you awake at night? I would say if I hear your voice at night, I will keep me awake. Yeah, isn't it true? But anyway, hang on for a sec. But these, shallow reasons are not exactly the reason why I'm here. And I'm convinced that my wife was correct in being able to work with you. And, I heard the stories, and I've heard about it. I've learned a lot. I've been attending so many motivational speeches and workshops before, but I can say that the impact of my wife working with you is has a reason, as a basis, because the moment you left Teletech, my wife and the rest of her colleagues, they were so sad and they even cried, And it was in the border of jealousy and amazement. So, come on, you didn't lose a star here, And now I see the reason, because you're a very the leadership is emanating from you. And before I close, I just want to to comment one thing.
Are you looking for a job?
No. I'm okay. I mean, I gotta say,
Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
if I look for a job, I will not tell you this. I'm upset, actually. One thing I noticed is you told a story about dishwashing. Maybe the next time you speak, you can do better than the dishwashing story. You know why? Because I attended a seminar, and guess what? The speaker even went better than that, because he started by saying he worked on the home for the aged thing, and he started by saying, I started by washing an old man's ass. It's worse than dishwashing. But
In my next life.
to end it, my wife, after she left and moved to 2 companies, she basically doubled her salary now. It's not, I don't know if it's because of your handsome looks or the leadership that you gave her, but I guess it's a combination of both. So thank you for that.
There's no question. Good comments. Okay, we're over here.
Questions about leadership and comments about leadership.
Yeah. Okay, this fellow right here, please state your name. This fellow was first. Is it going to work? Okay, we got the wireless. Sorry,
I'm Maulikh. I'm from Das Marinas, Cavite. I'm also not supposed to be here. I'm the founder and CEO of Caliber. And my question, since this is the CEO forum, what strategies do you have for effectively leading a board of directors? I think SPI recently had a change in ownership. How has that been for you as a CEO, and how do you effectively lead a board, especially with someone like MVP sitting on it?
Sure, that's a great question. First of all, MVP was our chairman for 3.5 years since I joined. And then since CVC Capital Partners took over, we have a new chairman, senior managing director of CVC Capital Partners, Brian Hong. And Paulie Nazarano now sits on the board. It's been an exciting change for us. We obviously loved working with PLDT board. They were very supportive of us. They became one of our largest clients. And now with CVC, we have access to some $40 billion worth of assets they have around the world. So as a CEO, my job is to ensure that I'm not leading them, but I'm influencing them to doing the right things for the company. One of the great ways CVC can make an impact for SPI Global is to give access to other CEOs in their portfolio of companies and talk to them about outsourcing opportunities for SPI. And that has already started now. So it's really working with them and showcasing what this company is about. One of the things that we worked with CVC on was simply sharing with them how people-intensive this business is, because they are not used to buying BPO companies. They are used to buying manufacturing companies. They are used to buying some of the hotel industries. But this is a very people-intensive business. So one of the things that we obviously do with them is talk a lot about how we create a culture and take this 18,000 people to the next level.
Very good. Rajiv of CSS.
I'll piggyback on my earlier concern. See, there are times when you inherit a team, there are times when you choose a team. And you work with the team and try and get them up to speed. But more often than not, it's not easy, when you want to say enough is enough and you say move on, like firing the wrong guy. So what and how and when will you decide that enough is enough and you basically need to reconstitute your team? Because the risk that you run then is that you really don't know if the new incumbent is going to be any better than the old guy that you had. Because you have like maybe half an hour, based on how long you spend with him or her to understand her capabilities. So how do you make that decision?
Sure, it's obviously one of the most difficult challenges that you face. Yeah.
And for the record, I'm supposed to be here. I paid for it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a difficult situation. When I took over SPI Global, I essentially inherited a team that was in place. And I realized after making my trip to all the 24 locations around the world in the first 90 days, my goal was to go around the world, meet with every executive and a group of employees that I can meet with. And I had very quickly realized there are some people who would not just fly with the culture that we were going to build. So in the first 90 days, 6 of the top executive team members had to be gone. There were 3 who were on the borderline. And I wanted to see if I can continue to mentor them, if I can put all 3 of them continuing to stay with the company. We did. Only 1 could not make it. So the remaining 2 are still with us right now. So it's all about having that feel as a leader as to which person is able and willing, which person is perhaps not able but willing, and you can actually work on the ability. But if you have a person who is able but not willing to work with you, that person has to go.
Very good. Please, state your... I think we had this fella here, yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Michael Maranan again. In only one word, can you describe your secret of success? In one word.
Malasakit.
Actually, thank you so much. Just like the 2 other guys, as Ma'am Corina Sanchez told me last week, I'm also not supposed to be here.
Very good. Born? Yep.
Yeah. All right. I grew up in post-war Germany. Our families lost everything. I found my most exciting toys in other people's trash cans. I was not supposed to be here. Yeah. I say there's different types of leaders. There's leaders who like to lead, individual contributors. Then there's leaders who can lead supervisors. Then there's leaders who can lead managers. And then there are leaders who can lead leaders. Yeah. How can someone lead someone as great as you? How do you like to be led, if at all? How does Manny Pangilinan lead you? How does someone influence you? Let's say you have a growing talent in your organization. How does someone like that influence someone as great as you?
I think Mani's biggest secret is he knows when he sees the talent, he gets them on board, he gives them all the resources, and he completely empowers them to do the right thing for the company. And I think that's a secret that I follow in my organization as well. I mean, I've surrounded myself with the best people. All of these people are better than me. The only thing I have to do is just to conduct the orchestra and let them do what they are supposed to do in their job.
You're very humble. And that's a sign of a great leader. Thank you.
Lots of compliments today for Maulikh. May and Celeste? Okay, please, we'll have Celeste Illigan and May Dizon come to the stage, please.
Just very quickly before we end the session, we would like to invite you to join the community AIM High, and this stands for Aspire, Inspire, and Mentor. And this is really an offshoot of what we have today. The goal is to reach out to as many as 100,000 leaders by the end of this decade. So we are looking at year 2020 where we have, a lot of Filipinos being very good leaders, okay? And Celeste here will share with us what, how we can be a member. But very quickly, we have Facebook and Twitter accounts. For Facebook, it's Aim High with Maulikh Parekh. And for Twitter, it's Aim High with Maulikh. And you can post, you can like, you can tweet, retweet, and all of you can share your thoughts, ideas on leadership. We can start with what we've learned today, what we've learned with everything that Maulikh shared with us. Celeste.
Thank you, May. Maulikh says I have to be here. I was bargaining with him that we did not speak anymore, following a speaker who is tall, dark, and hairy. It's gonna be a difficult act to follow. But really there is an important message that we would like to convey, and it is to make sure that this continues. This is just the start, and we have the Aim High movement, and we would like to ask for volunteers. There are 4 ways by which you can volunteer and make sure that the tie that binds us this afternoon, and that is to make a difference in the lives of people we lead and the lives of people we come across on a daily basis. So how do we become volunteers in this Aim High community? First is to be a mentor. To be a mentor, you will submit to us the name of probably the top caliber leader or manager in your company that you would like mentored by other volunteer mentors who will sign up with us. And a mentor can also submit the name of 3 or 5 people that they themselves would like to mentor. So that's one, being a mentor. The second one is to volunteer as a speaker. Obviously, this is just the start, and we will have more lectures to come. We would like to bring this lecture to the provinces, for example, the next wave cities of BPO. And so we need speakers who can talk about leadership, different leadership principles, what your experiences are. And so we need you to join the community. And the third one, we would like to ask you to be our social media warriors. And what this means is with a Facebook and Twitter account that we have already created, if you can help us develop and sustain the flow of content about leadership. So if you, for example, have read many books about leadership and you would like the other members of the community to learn about it and learn from it, then post that on Facebook, or maybe there are quotations or experiences that you'd like to share. So just post that. And the fourth one is, we don't have a name for this group yet, but maybe we can call them advocates or evangelists, because we would like, as I said, we'd like this forum to be started in other places all over the country. And there's a need to sort of organize and get people interested. So these are just very high-level information for now. So follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. If you would like to volunteer, just send us a message through Facebook and Twitter, and we will take it from there. We will advise you of the next steps that's going to happen. So that's it for this afternoon. Thank you.
Very good, lots of energy there. So we've got time for a bit of talking and introductions. The tall, what was it, tall, brown, and handsome? Is that? Okay. Oh, okay, Harry. Yes, well, so please come on up and we can introduce this fella to you and others that are here. And really, really nice to have you. One event we run, another one is called Asia CEO Awards, coming up soon, our 4th year event down at the Solaire, the new Solaire Grand Ballroom. So please, it's an easy process to submit, so we'll be glad to have you. And otherwise, we'll look forward to the next event, and thank you all for coming very much. Appreciate it. Lovely to have you. Good night, and we'll see you soon.